In 2009, on the 15th of August at 1 o'clock, I found out about my HIV status. My name is Lebogang Brenda Mutsumi. I was 20 years old when I got diagnosed with HIV. I had not accepted my status. I was still in a journey of accepting my status, just like I am right now. The first time I shared my HIV status it was not planned, you know. I literally just thought I want to tell people about my status, and this was young people at the time, you know. I was afraid of the reaction, of course, because I thought I'd be judged. I thought people would throw things at me or whatever the case is. It was very scary. It was a moment that I guess changed my life for the better, but I don't regret doing it.
We have 7 million South Africans living with HIV to date. So weekly in South Africa, we have more than 200,000 new infections weekly. And these are amongst young women between the ages of 15 to 24.
People don't speak about HIV and AIDS because there's still a stigma attached to it. A lot of people still view it as it's evidence of you doing something that you're not supposed to do. It is not anybody else's fault as a victim of HIV and AIDS or somebody that has HIV and AIDS. It's not anybody else's fault but yours. And so because it's your fault, you are divorced from the rest of the community. You have to take responsibility.
When a young woman engages in transactional sex, the intention is to get money or a cell phone or new hair or a lifestyle that the parents cannot afford. Because in society there is pressure to live in a certain way, to hang out with a certain group. So and then therefore that opens a window for these women to be violated. And when they are violated, they will take the violence, as long as the violence comes in with what they want. That's our sad reality.
In my case, it was just an intergenerational relationship. He was older than me and yes, had more power, but then there was no arrangement. I don't even think I loved him. No, I would be lying if I said that. It was just what I could get from being with him in terms of the respect I got because I was dating a so-called celebrity. It wasn't really about love. I just felt good inside, and it filled the void that I had inside of me. I was very ignorant about an HIV infection or HIV. I didn't know that he was living with HIV. He did not disclose his status to me.
You have school-going young girls who would rather come to the clinic after school. Women are scared to go for HIV testing because they won't know how to respond when the result is positive.
So after I found out about my status, I found out that I was pregnant. Everything was just happening all at once. I didn't want her to have the kind of upbringing that I had. Not that mine was bad, but I wanted her to live a different life to mine. And she's the best thing that's happened to me. Her other name is Blessing. And she was my turning point. She's the reason that I'm the person that I am today. You know, I live for her and I want to be able to leave a legacy for her. Look, hairs in my eyes. I'm told at the hospital, you need to take this medication. I didn't really know what antiretrovirals were. I didn't know what they really do to my body and so forth. I was just taking them because I was told I won't die. I think after stopping my medication in January, I genuinely thought that the HIV was gone, and it led me to then being sick for 6 months. I had TB, I had pneumonia. At some point I was in a wheelchair. At some point I couldn't feed myself. So much happened, and I genuinely then, at that point, accepted that I'm living with HIV because of how I looked and what I was going through for the 6 months, and that is what then got me to eventually accept that I'm living with the virus and I have to take the medication so that I can live a longer life. I started turning my life around in 2011, just after I got out of my deathbed. What happened was I joined a support group of young people living with HIV, and because of the different stories and experiences that I was hearing from them, I got motivation to continue with life, because of course I had given up and thought I'm the only one living with HIV, so my life is over. The doctor asked myself and a colleague to go to a place called Limpopo to go teach young kids about HIV. But I feel it defeats the purpose for me to teach about something I'm living with without sharing my personal story. I don't know how to do it or how to even phrase it, but I'm gonna tell them that I'm living with the virus. And I then felt there was a need for me to continue doing what I'm doing. At first it was just about telling my story. I didn't know what advocacy was, I didn't know what activism was, I didn't know that there were policies, I didn't know anything. I just wanted to tell my story. I wanted people to know that HIV positive or not, you can still continue with life. That was my initial idea. There have been a lot of times when I actually wish that I could have kept my story a secret because of how harsh people are at times, and at times when I go through certain challenges, for some reason I always feel it's because of my status, you know. But at times when I lose certain people in my life, then I just at times wish that I would have just accepted my status. But then when I see people's messages either on Facebook or WhatsApp thanking me for sharing my story and giving them a reason to live, then I know that this was my purpose and this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I interact in spaces where I am privileged to work with young women such as Lebo. She is very honest, but it's the type of honesty that we need to bring the reality of HIV to our households and to appreciate the journey that our young people living with HIV go through to be where they eventually become, to educate our communities that they are human. Basically, more than anything, they are human.
It is important for young people to start speaking out, especially young people living with HIVs, because we are the future. You know, it's up to us to change the status quo and what HIV is in the world.
If we're going to be the highest, should I say, demographic of people that are affected by this, then why is it that we're not talking about it more? So we want to talk about rape, we want to talk about sex, you know, good sex. And we also want to talk about the wrong kinds of sex, which is the rape and the sexual harassment and the sexual violence against women.
Where HIV is concerned, where gender-based violence is concerned, we need to have an influx of resources going into women organizations, women's movement, to ensure that women are afforded an opportunity to contribute meaningfully towards addressing gender-based violence in South Africa.
The dream for the Black African child is for them to tell a different story to mine and tell a story of an empowered, educated African young woman.
Coming up on a future edition of 21st Century.
Most of our kids are refugees. They didn't choose it. They didn't choose this life. They didn't choose to come somewhere else. They didn't choose to come to America, to Rochester. And I just wish that other people could see and think if they were in their shoes.
We're all from different culture, we all have different, nationality, but we're the same, It doesn't matter where you came from, what language you speak, what color you are, you're a human being. You gotta show respect and be respectful for whoever you are, and you gotta respect others.